Today's going to be a really fun video. We're going to compare some of the best on-camera microphones for under $200. Hey, if you don't know me, my name's Jake and I create content here to help solo creators on the go. So I review lots of drones, cameras, lenses, other filmmaking equipment, and I give you tips and tutorials on how to use them. So if that's something that interests you, consider subscribing. This video is going to be best viewed with a good set of headphones, or at the very least, a good set of speakers, so you can hear the differences between these microphones that we're going to be testing. Today we're comparing the Rode Videomic NTG, the Deity D3 Pro, which has been my mic of choice for quite a few years now, and the Sennheiser MKE 400. But before we jump into those, I want to show you why you want an on-camera microphone. This is the built-in camera microphones. I'm next to a waterfall and a stream flowing through this little area of the woods here, and it gives you a lot of extra noise because there's a lot of noise around me. Whereas when we switch to an on-camera mic, it makes it much easier to focus on my voice because on-camera mics offer a much higher quality of sound from the microphone itself, but they also offer the ability to reject noise. So right now the main noise, the waterfall, is back over there. And because this mic is directional, it helps to reject a lot of that noise. So let's go and check out each one of these mics and how much noise they reject. Then we're going to do a little wind test and see which one sounds best in the wind. This is the Rode Videomic NTG. Directly behind me, about 8 feet, 9 feet, is a waterfall, and this is what it sounds like with that noise being directly behind me. Now as I turn, that noise is obviously going to get a lot louder. Now you can see the waterfall there. Because this mic does have good directionality, it rejects a lot of that noise when that noise is behind the microphone. This is the Deity D3 Pro. Same thing, the waterfall is 8 to 10 feet behind me, and it rejects most of that noise. But which one do you feel like's doing better? As I turn, of course, the waterfall gets much louder, and because it's, right there. But then again, as I turn around, it makes the noise a lot less because of the directionality. Now this is the Sennheiser MKE 400. It's actually the smallest of all these mics, but again, it's also very directional, so it rejects most of the sound from behind. As I turn around, you can hear, the waterfall there. It's actually very close, same thing. But then, as I turn around and put it to the rear, it should reject most of that sound. And then we need to test how much wind these mics can handle. So we're going to test it by themselves with the wind protection that the mics come with, and then also with some extra wind protection that you can buy off sites like Amazon, BH Photo, etc. So right now there is a very strong wind coming from directly behind me, straight into the microphone, and I do have wind protection on. Now I'm going to take that wind protection off, and you'll see what it sounds like. That's with no wind protection at all. Now this is the wind protection that comes with the microphone. It's just the little black fuzzy thing. And then this is a Movo wind protector that I bought off Amazon for like $30. And that's all with the Rode NTG. Now let's try the Deity D4 Duo. This is the Deity D3 Pro. Straight on wind, same exact thing. Now I'm gonna put on the little wind protector that comes with the microphone. This is the Deity D4 Duo with the default wind protection that comes with the microphone. And this is the Deity D3 Pro with the Movo Dead Cat, which works really well and I've used a lot over the last few years, and I've always been really happy with the performance, even in some pretty strong wind. This wind right now is blowing about 10 to 12, maybe 13 miles an hour, depending on, when. One thing that's different about the Sennheiser MKE 400, and we'll talk more about the features and specs of each one of these microphones when we're inside and not freezing out here in the wind, but it's that it has this built-in wind protection that is just part of the mic, and also the suspension that isolates the mic from handling noise is also built into this, so you never really take it off. I'm very curious to see how this performs. So now this is the Sennheiser MKE 400. Same distance away, same very strong wind coming from behind me, but it is just the mic by itself, the way it comes out of the box. Now I'm going to attach this little dead cat that Sennheiser sends along with the microphone and see how much of a difference this makes. And now this is the Sennheiser MKE 400 with the dead cat, the furry that Sennheiser sends along with it. I'm really curious to see how this handles this strong a wind from behind. None of these mics have had any low cut filters or anything like that to get rid of any extra wind noise. They're all basically just flat, straight across the board, same gain, same structure, as close as I can get them. Next we need to test the handling noise, because each one of these mics comes with a shock mount system. The Deity and the Rode come with a Rycote system, whereas the Sennheiser is all built into that little unit. So if, say, you're walking through really deep snow and things are bouncing around a little bit, especially when you sink down, you should not hear any thumping noises or anything like that. And now this is the Deity D3 Pro, which has been my mic to go for for quite a while, and you know, if you sink in snow, when you're walking in deep snow, you shouldn't hear any handling noise. And now we're on the Sennheiser MKE 400. Same thing, walking through snow, not trying to hold the camera steady. Obviously, it's shaking all over the place. But you hear any handling noise? All right, I'm pretty much frozen. Let's go back to the studio. We'll talk about the features and the specs of each one of these microphones and which one might be the one for you. And then we come down to the specs and the differences between these mics. Let's start with battery life. For battery life, the Sennheiser is the clear leader of the pack at 100 hours per set of batteries. It doesn't have rechargeable batteries as it uses 2 AAAs, but it does give you 100 hours of runtime, which is amazing. The Rode comes in with the lease at about 30 hours per charge, but 30 hours per charge is not bad. It charges up fairly quickly. And the Deity comes in the middle of the pack at 50 hours per charge. And yeah, it's run really well. Same thing. Both of these have a rechargeable battery, whereas this has removable and interchangeable battery. And then we'll come to the way each of these are controlled. For the Deity mic, it uses a TRRS cable to be able to automatically sense and detect where it needs to kind of put the audio and where the power is coming from. And then to turn the mic on, you actually do have to push and hold this little button until this light lights up amber or green. And then when you turn the camera on, the mic will automatically power on and start working. Now it can stay in standby mode for a really long time, but it will slowly drain the battery over time in the standby mode, so you need to be aware of that. And then it has a 75 cut and a 150 cut filter to be able to get rid of some of that extra low rumble noise. And then a gain knob that goes from 0 all the way to 10. I found 6 is usually about my sweet spot for the way I set my camera up. Next up we have the Rode. Now the thing about the Rode is you can turn it on by pushing and holding this button down until it lights up green, but it will also automatically turn on when it's plugged into a camera. So if I put it on my cold shoe here and turn the camera on, you can see the light pops on automatically. When you turn it off, it waits a second, make sure you're actually turning it off, and then it turns off. Another thing that's nice about the Rode mic is you have a 75, 150, and then a high boost filter, so you get a little bit more control over the ways you can shape your sound. And then you also have a minus 20 dB pad. You can also have it do a safety track where it splits left and right, so left becomes the regular volume, whatever you have set here, and the right becomes a track that is about 20 dB lower in volume, which gives you some safety if there's a lot of dynamic sound in whatever you're recording. And then it also has a variable gain dial in the back that goes from 0 or 1 to 15. So it gives you quite a bit of room, quite a bit of change. I found that 8 is pretty nice. And on the mic itself, it uses a regular TRS cable. And then we come to the Sennheiser. Definitely the smallest out of these microphones. If you put it on just like that, it also uses a TRS. And then on the front here, it's a locking TRS connector, so it's really secure connection. Plug it in. And then like the Rode, when you turn it on, the mic automatically senses and turn on. You don't need to power the microphone on. Unless the microphone doesn't automatically sense the camera. If you're using something else, sometimes it won't sense it, but for my cameras, it all turns on automatically. Then you have some really basic controls. You have a low cut filter and a 3-position gain switch. So you can go to less, middle, or loud. So you get much more limited control over how much audio you want. And over on this side, you get a volume control for your headphone output. So you can listen in through the microphone with headphones if you need to and adjust your volume here, which actually is kind of handy if you're working with interviews and things like that. And as you can see, the Deity is the largest or the longest. It's very small. I'm not really going to comment on the weight because these are all really lightweight microphones. They take up almost no space at all. Deity does supply this foam Windy, which you heard, works fairly well. Rode is the next size smaller. It's a little bit smaller. Rode supplies this furry here, or this wind jammer fuzzy foam thing here, which works okay. And then the Sennheiser one is the most interesting one to me because it's all included. The shock mount system, which works really well, and the wind jammer or the wind control is built in and there all the time. And then if you want to, you can add this for outdoor work, which does work extremely well for winds like I was standing in earlier. Now for the Deity and the Rode, you have to add something like this, the Movo Dead Cat, which works well. They run about 25 bucks on Amazon. They're linked in the description. Actually, I found these to work extremely well on these two microphones to be able to cut through a lot of pretty strong wind. And then we come to price. You have $250 for the Rode is the most expensive, but it definitely offers a lot of features and a lot of things you can use this for. The Sennheiser comes in at $200, and I think for the way it functions and the usability of it and the compact size of it, because it's definitely the smallest, it's not a bad deal at all. The Deity is the clear winner for price at $130 or $139 right now. It's a really good deal, especially for the performance. Now, I've used the Deity for about 3 years, and it's been rock solid and going strong, and I've really abused the heck out of it, so I can vouch for the quality of Deity. Rode has been a well-known microphone maker for a really long time, as has Sennheiser, so I'm sure these mics will both perform well for a really long time, but they're your price. Most expensive is the Rode, next is the Sennheiser, and the best deal, bargain deal, is the Deity. And then there's the way these mics interface. Both the Deity and the Sennheiser interface through a TRS or a TRRS cable, so you have to use adapters if you're going to plug them into things like phones with no headphone ports. You've got to use that. The Rode is the one that's a little more interesting because you can also use the cable here, the USB-C cable, as a direct plug into an audio source in your computer. So you can plug a USB-C cable here, plug it into your computer, and it shows up as an audio source. When you do that, then this here, the microphone or the TRS connector, can actually become a headphone port, so you can monitor audio through the microphone both directions, which is kind of cool. And one last thing to note, something that I haven't been able to test personally, but I have heard a lot from other people, is interference. When you're next to things like cell phones that emit radio frequencies, then you can get interference on some of these microphones. I have had people tell me they've really struggled with that with the Deity. I have not, but I'm in areas that don't have a lot of other RF, a lot of other radio frequencies, so usually it's not been a problem for me. The Rode definitely does not have that issue. It's very well shielded and works well that way. The Sennheiser, I don't really know because I haven't been able to test. Overall, any of these mics will give you some great performance and help you vastly improve your audio directly off the camera. But if you're very budget conscious and you want extremely good performance, go with the Deity. If you've got a little extra money and you prefer some of the extra features, the Rode is really excellent. Or if you really want really compact size and really long runtime with the ability to just swap some batteries out and keep going, the Sennheiser definitely rules there. Audio quality wise, I think they all perform about the same with some slight differences between the way each one of them sounds because they're made by different manufacturers and each manufacturer will always voice their microphones a certain way. But all of them deliver really great audio quality for a really small on-camera microphone. Now, if you want to know other gear that I think is essential for creators, you can click or tap right here. I put together a small playlist. I'll see you in one of those videos. As always, if you have questions, ask me in the comments below or join my live streams, which happen most Wednesday nights from 4 p.m. Alaska time to 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheers.